Welcome back, Defenders. Jake here. We're going to start today's video with a word of caution. I do not have a Telegram account. I don't have a WhatsApp account. I am never going to message you asking you to talk to me on Telegram or WhatsApp. These are scammers, 100% of the time. I'm sorry, I'm not a Nigerian prince. You have not won a prize. I am never going to ask you to send me money so I can then invest it for you. Every YouTuber has this problem. I can't stop people from using my picture and my name on other social media platforms to try and steal your money. So please, be careful, be safe, be smart. I believe in you guys. So let's get to the news for Ukraine. Ukraine announces more gains around Bakhmut, hints at successful Dnipro operations. The Deputy Defense Minister on Monday said a total of 40 square kilometers of territory have been retaken just on the southern flank of the Bakhmut sector. So when we switch over to the military map, here's the ruins of the city of Bakhmut. And the Ukrainians have been making a lot of progress, especially on the south, advancing towards the villages of Klishivka and Andriivka. This is a gray zone. They're currently fighting over it. I do think in the next couple days there will be a map update and Ukraine will have captured Klishivka and Andriivka. So Russia tried to counterattack. They've been reinforcing this area for fear of Bakhmut being surrounded. And Russia sent 3 of their most modern T-90 tanks and some other armored vehicles, and they were all destroyed. There's video online of how incompetent Russia's ground forces are whenever they try to counterattack after Ukraine has taken some territory. It never ends well for them. When we switch over to the Zaporizhia and Donetsk front, Ukraine has solidly made the village of Urozhaine, if I'm saying that right, Urozhaine, and this was strategically very important. Ukraine has been making progress the last 2 months down this stream, village hopping, and the next target will be this village down here, Staromelanivka. I'm doing my best here, guys. And the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense released 2 spectacular videos of the Russians retreating from Urozhaine. They had to give up on it. The situation for them was hopeless. And I'll link these videos down below if you want to see them for yourself. So this is a drone capturing artillery fire. And these are dozens of Russian troops evacuating from the village without armored vehicles to protect them. They're using the road and they're trying to escape in broad daylight. So this is a death sentence, and all of these Russian soldiers are about to be killed. I'll link the videos down below if you want to see them get taken out with cluster munitions. In addition, Ukraine says they downed waves of missiles and drones over the city of Odessa. Unfortunately, the debris of these drones falls on the city, hits civilian areas, causing fire and damage to buildings. So there's lots of pictures and videos from the last 2 days, the city of Kherson and especially Odessa. 113 buildings, including 7 educational institutions and an architectural monument, were damaged as a result of falling debris and blast waves. So the most devastating thing was this supermarket named Fazi. Never heard of it before, but this is what happened to this really nice supermarket the other night. Here's a video showing the mayor of Odessa touring the devastation.
Там будет администрация. Чергова терористична атака на Одесу. Ми бачили, що коридор.
So this man right here, I believe, is the mayor of Odessa. There's not a whole lot he can do aside from put out the fires and try and help survivors. But Russia's committed to this, spending tens of millions of dollars on long-range missiles to blow up supermarkets in the city of Odessa. Here is a video from Alexei Goncharenko. He's a member of the Ukrainian parliament representing the city of Odessa. Here's his report from in front of the location.
New barbaric attack against Odessa from Russian occupants. You can see by your own eyes destroyed supermarket in the residential area of Odessa. This is absolutely residential area. You can see this is residential buildings. You see that part of the windows now are without glasses. And here is the public transport stop. And here was very big supermarket, which is still, you see that the rescue operation still continues and fire workers still are doing their job. So just watch at this. There are wounded people. So new barbaric attack against our city from Russians. Odessa, we are strong, our moral is high, we will win. But definitely that is so awful in 21st century, something like this happening in my native city. But we will definitely win. Slava Ukraini.
So while the Ukrainian military continues to make progress on the ground, recapturing villages, the Kremlin has to show their people something on Kremlin State TV. And good job, Russia. You successfully destroyed a supermarket. So here's an interesting clip that I want to share with you guys of a Russian couple who think they're doing the right thing. They're volunteers going into the occupied territories of Kherson and Zaporizhia to attempt to help the civilians in the occupied regions. But they're learning that the Ukrainians living under military occupation don't really like them and don't really appreciate their help. So they're giving an interview, and I'm guessing because this has gone viral, they're going to get in trouble and probably be arrested. But this is what this Russian couple has to say about life in the occupied territories. So this man is going to be speaking. Look, the fact is that a lot of information is leaked by the locals who live there, and they leak it. As much as we have been going there, as much as we communicate with locals, I want to say that in the Zaporizhia and Kherson regions, I get the impression that 70% of them are against our Russian world, Ruski Mir. They are against us. 70%, not even 50%. More than that. It even often happens that in the Zaporizhia region, you can only fill up the car at every third gas station. And at 2 gas stations, they will go out and in purely Western Ukrainian language, send you to Putin to refuel. Do you understand what it is about? So he's saying that even driving his civilian car through the occupied territories, he'll get refused service at 2 out of 3 gas stations. They don't want to serve Russian civilians. And so there are people who will leak information, and I even met some grandfather with a grandmother, and it just recently happened. She said, "I am Ukrainian to the marrow of my bones, and I will be a Ukrainian, and I don't need this Russian world at all. And so I will only be for Ukraine." Well, you know, there's nothing you can do. The people have been divided, what is in their heads, how they want to live, and therefore there are a lot of traitors there. A lot of traitors. Therefore, the local population, civilians there, should be feared in the same way as the military of the armed forces of Ukraine. And even the soldiers themselves and all the guys. Now, if we move there, we try to choose the time to go there. early in the morning to finish going around to all the places, all of the units, during daylight hours, because there is a curfew, and also it is very dangerous. Very dangerous to spend the night somewhere there. You may simply not wake up in the morning. So Russians coming to the occupied territories are, according to this man, being ambushed and disappeared by Ukrainian partisans and Ukrainian civilians resisting their military occupation. Therefore, we try to finish all the work during the daylight hours, and regardless of time, we go back to the mainland territory of Russia, so to speak. The picture you describe is, of course, far from what the official media tells us. So this Russian couple, they're saying they don't even spend the night in the occupied territories. They will drive in early in the morning, only try and do their work during the daytime, and then they peace out back to Russia proper for fear of partisans targeting them. Yeah, that sounds about right. Here's a training center in Tambov, Russia, with a huge banner showing the new Russian Empire. And the slogan written on the banner says, "We will teach you to love the motherland." And highlighted in gray is all the territory that this Russian believes belongs to Russia. So we've got Mongolia, we've got the Central Asian republics, all the Caucasus, any country that once belonged to the Warsaw Pact, including Finland and Greece. When the heck was Greece part of the Russian Empire? And check this out. On this map, they've even highlighted Alaska. They've mentioned this on Kremlin State TV a couple times, saying that Russia should get Alaska back because it once belonged to the Russian Empire. This is how insane the Russian people are. They're willing to engage in decades of war, killing millions of people, risking nuclear annihilation for imperial dreams. Dreams of controlling all of these nations, all of these peoples, all of their resources. Russia has to be stopped. Kremlin unfazed as ruble crashes through 100 rubles versus $1. A weaker currency could help Russia fund its invasion of Ukraine, but it'll trigger an inflationary spiral at home. This headline is actually true. If Russia's currency weakens, it actually becomes cheaper domestically to pay all their workers. But Russia can't grow pineapples and bananas. They have to import that from other countries along with many other things, and inflation for imported goods that Russia needs is going to start going through the roof. Russia's currency is never going to get better. It's only going to get worse every day, every week, and every month this war continues. So Russia's central bank, which has performed miracles, honestly, the last year and a half, they're doing their best to prop up Putin's regime. Russia raises their central interest bank rates to 12% after the ruble plummets. So Russia's central bank, their interest rate was at 8.5%. They're going to increase this to 12%. They're doing this because this should help their currency relative to other stronger currencies around the world, but I mean, they're just polishing brass on the Titanic. It's all going down. And according to the headlines, everything in Russia is just falling apart. Villagers in Russia's Dagestan protest summer-long water outage. So Dagestan is east of Chechnya, located north of the Caucasus. And apparently there are cities in this region who have been without running water for months now. So there's videos online of people, just ordinary civilians, blocking a highway as a form of protest for not having running water for months now. This is how bad the living conditions are inside of Russia, not under military occupation. Nobody has invaded or attacked mainland Russia, and they can't even provide electricity and running water to their people. Additionally, in Dagestan, a gas station blew up, killing 27 and injuring another 102. This is why you don't smoke cigarettes at the pump, but was this a partisan attack? Was this just incompetence and an accident? We'll never know. There's no truth in Russia. Here's the video online of the gas station after it blew up. I'll link it down below if you want to check it out. In addition to the gas station, there was also an explosion at an oil field. This occurred in Nygin, Russia. Several people killed, numerous more injured. Was this a partisan attack, or is this just normal, incompetent Russia? I don't think we'll ever know. Also happening in Russia, this is the second largest city in the Primorsk Krai region, but a dam broke and flooded the village. Everyone's home has been destroyed, and the residents of this area, after the dam broke, they're asking for answers, they're asking for compensation, and the government's not being very responsive. So here are ordinary Russians outraged at only being offered 150,000 rubles as compensation for the loss of their homes.
И что я сделаю, блядь, на 150 тысяч? Что? Ребенок, вот, блядь, без одежды, второй в школу, нахуй, собирается. Все, нахер, утонуло с учебниками. Что я, блядь, сделаю за 150 тысяч, блядь? Себе, блядь, сделайте еще за 150 тысяч, блядь. Что ты купишь, нахер, сейчас, блядь? Что ты на них купишь за 150 тысяч? В магазине, блядь, были сегодня, нет вообще. Что? И что там так с ценами, блядь? И что я сделал?
So domestically, everything in Russia is falling apart. It's falling apart because the national government has been diverting money and resources away from schools, roads, bridges, dams, essential infrastructure like water and electricity. They've been diverting that money to the war effort, to hold on to the occupied territories. So everything domestically in Russia is just going to continue getting worse. The only question is, how much do the people of Russia want to suffer? Not having electricity or water, having dams break and flood their towns, having gas stations and oil fields randomly blowing up. Their government is failing to provide the most basic services for their people to keep this war effort going. So here's one man in the St. Petersburg area who decided he had enough, and he participated in some kind of protest in which he held a poster that just said, "I'm sorry, Ukraine." He was arrested, prosecuted, and has been sentenced to 1.5 years in prison for discrediting the army of Russia. He appeared in court right before being taken away, and he used this as an opportunity to speak his mind. So this is what this Russian entrepreneur has to say about the current state of Russia. What does the madness that is happening in Ukraine have anything to do with the idea of defending our interests? Were the bombs falling on our cities before the beginning of the special military operation? It hasn't happened since 1944. So since 1944, nobody has attacked the capital city of Moscow. But with these recent drone attacks from Ukraine that are going to become more common, people living in Russia's capital city are no longer safe. Russia is the cause of this. He continues, before the beginning of the special military operation was the aggressive, in the opinion of our authorities, NATO bloc just 100 kilometers away from our northern capital. Now, here it is, across the bay within easy reach. So this man's from St. Petersburg. He's probably being tried and arrested in St. Petersburg. And he's pointing out the obvious fact that Finland joined NATO because Russia decided to attack Ukraine. If Russia had never attacked Ukraine, Finland never would have joined NATO. So now, NATO is only 100 kilometers from their important city of St. Petersburg. Russia is the cause of this. Russia is salesman of the year for nations around the world wanting to join NATO. He continues, before the beginning of the special military operation, were hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of our countrymen leaving our country instead of working here for their own good and the good of our motherland. So he's referring to the hundreds of thousands of Russian men who have fled the country to avoid mobilization, avoid conscription. These are people not supporting the economy, not paying taxes, hastening Russia's democratic decline, as I'm guessing many of these Russian men are never going to return to Russia. Are the goals of the special military operation for people to lose their lives, our countrymen as well as Ukrainian citizens? According to the data from the United Nations, 500 children were killed there as of this moment. If these were the goals of the special military operation, then it, is some kind of betrayal from the side of the people who organized all this. If it weren't the case, if these were not the goals, then, Your Honor, the special military operation is the actual discreditation of this idea, the idea of the defense of our motherland and our countrymen. So more than likely, he's going to be arrested and tried again and given a longer sentence. If he got 1.5 years for just saying, "I'm sorry, Ukraine," probably this speech is going to get him 20. Ukraine situation reports, Russians board Ukraine-bound ship. The Palau-flagged bulk carrier continued on its voyage after a Russian inspection, but soon fled towards the coastline and Turkish waters. So the Pacific island nation of Palau, this is where it's located. It's east of the Philippines. And Russia wanted to look tough. So they decided to fire warning shots on this ship from a very small Pacific island nation and then board it to make sure that weapons are not being smuggled into Ukraine from Palau. This is absurd. Russia would never have done this to a NATO country, a ship from maybe Greece or Turkey. Russia never would have done this from a militarily powerful country, maybe like South Korea or Israel. So Russia wanted to make an example, and they decided to pick on a ship from Palau. The ship was sailing towards Ismail to pick up agricultural products. It was off the coast of Bulgaria when this Russian ship decided to intercept it. Russia has to do this far from the Ukrainian coastline because Ukraine does have missiles capable of destroying Russian ships. Russia's blockade is kind of a joke, but they wanted to make an example of somebody to scare other civilian shipping companies from trying to go to Ukrainian ports. So here's the video. They had the crew wait on the deck while they searched the ship. They even flew this helicopter really close to the deck, risking the helicopter, risking the ship. But it's obviously a Russian filming this video, trying to look tough, trying to look strong. I can't watch it without laughing at them because Russia's so pathetic. So this is an act of piracy. Under international law, freedom of navigation of the sea, you can't do this. You can't just arbitrarily say, "I want to search your ship," without justification for doing so. Russia does not have this right under international law, but Russia doesn't care. And it would be nice if the international community defended Palau and said these kinds of acts are not going to be tolerated in the future. Let's get to the good news for Ukraine. The United States has announced their next security assistance package worth $200 million. Included is just routine stuff: ammunition for the Patriot system, ammunition for HIMARS, mine-clearing equipment, and artillery rounds. Other good news, the German government has planned annual military support for Ukraine of 5 billion euros per year until the year 2027. So thank you so much, Germany. Final clip I want to share with you is friend of the channel, Macer Gifford. He's a British national that has been fighting with the Ukrainians on the front line over a year now. I recently had him on for a podcast. If you want to check that out, you can find it on the channel. And I just want to share his update from the field. He states, the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in war.
Right guys, I thought I'd do a quick update from Ukraine. That's become quite a catchphrase. I need to start putting it on t-shirts or something. I'm currently pouring with sweat. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. Just coming to the end of 4 hours of training. We've got a specialist team in, very kindly came down to give Vidmark and the wider battalion a little bit of training. Doing tree lines today. Quite a bit of specialist training. It's good fun to be here. It's quite intensive. We do this every single day. So it's a real workout. We do different things, so it's probably worth updating you on how we work. So we'll do sort of tree lines one day, 4 hours. We'll then do a couple of hours of medical training possibly, and then we'll call it a day. The next day we'll do a bit of engineering, mines, that sort of stuff, and then some language, whatever, in the evening, and then move on. So it's quite intensive all through the week, hours and hours and hours per day. Get a sweat on. And everything else, and then usually we're training on Saturday, but we'll have Sunday off. So that's the training schedule, and then we have obviously teams deployed. Thanks to you guys, we have a specialist team that can deploy alongside sort of a fighting team, like a reconnaissance team. The two can complement each other, which is great. The two can, by the way, also deploy completely separately in support of other units, etc. So Vidmark's capabilities are growing. We've got a team deployed now, so please pray for them. I have to say, when you're back at home, sort of training, holding the fort, doing all the sort of daily tasks that any unit in the Ukrainian army has to do, your mind literally goes to the boys deployed, praying to God that they're not under severe artillery, that they're not being sort of surrounded, and we're constantly communicating with our boys. Anyway, I better go. So speak to you guys soon. Speak to you later.
There's no way the Russians are preparing and practicing as much as these guys. There's no way the Russians want victory as much as these guys. That's all for this video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.